Shall we begin? Let's begin.
Good day, peace and blessings to all, and welcome to the Mentality 360 podcast. I'm Michael Tolan, and this is
Kevin Lewis. What's up, people?
Hey, today is September 5th, 2018, and today's podcast topic is people taking things for granted. Why do we do it?
That's a good topic, Mike. Good topic.
But first and foremost, I would like to touch on this week's hot topics and recent events.
All right, Mike. Today's hot topic. Hey, one good thing that just came out today was Nike is going to use Colin Kaepernick as their 30-year campaign person. You know, and the first time in my life I ever heard the president getting involved in what Nike was doing.
No, really? The president is involved? I
Yes.
kind of heard a little bit about the Kaepernick thing. I think he had a contract with Nike anyway, right?
Right. Which expired, actually.
Oh, okay. It
Yeah.
expired. So it's the Just Do It campaign, right?
Their 30-year anniversary with Nike.
Yeah, and I think the slogan, what was the slogan on the face of it? I think it had said something about
I thought it was just
sacrificing, and no, there was an actual statement, right?
Oh, okay.
That
I
was
didn't know
across
that
the
part.
face of it. Yeah, you gotta read that. It said something about sacrificing something, or I don't want to misquote it, but yeah.
No, that's pretty cool though. I like that.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about that whole thing to me is that President Trump tweeted that it was a terrible decision by Nike to have him. And the thing is this right here though, how can you stand for the free world, but people aren't free to let you know how they feel if it's different from how you feel? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I'm thinking that, well, hold on, you can't be. If it's about patriotism, then how can you mark John McCain, who just passed? If it's about patriotism, then he was a war hero and all these other things, senator, and stood for what a lot of people, were pleased with. But yet you're gonna trash Colin Kaepernick for taking a knee, but then you turn around and trash a guy who just disagrees with you, and then you're gonna say it's not non-patriotic that people don't agree with you because you're the president. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, dude, you went and played golf on this man's funeral.
Yeah.
So how much respect you paying?
I think when he was asked questions about how he felt about John McCain's passing, he just wouldn't respond. He just wouldn't say anything at all. He just sat there with his lips poked out, which is crazy.
But yeah, so that happened there. Then we have now that we want to talk about politics too much, because we don't really talk about things for too long. We have a Supreme Court Justice nominee, Kavanaugh, who acts just like Trump. Like, I never understood the importance of having judges in place until now, when you see all the laws and stuff and all the judges that you have a person who is not brown or black in the courtroom, then you have a person who is black or brown, and they can be in there for the same crimes, but the sentence is so different. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, like, now you understand why you need people that's reasonable, people that actually
in those positions.
Right, that uphold the law.
Yeah, for sure, because ultimately the law is the law, right? And then it comes down to some judge making a decision about, if you supposedly violated the law, what your sentence is going to be. They can give you what they call basketball numbers, for like a minor crime. It's crazy. But yeah, it's very important that, when it comes down to these local elections and, even major elections, when, you see those judges on the ballot, those are really the important ones you need to pay attention to.
Right.
Those judges and those Senate seats and all that. Yeah. So.
And okay, and so and then the last thing we have, the most important thing we have, is that both our sons are now in the 8th grade. They actually have classes together, so that's a good thing. Right? Hello?
Right.
Hello? Okay.
Right.
So you know something I don't know? And then we have the football score we just want to give you all.
Updates.
You know what I'm saying?
Update on GPYFA.
That's right. You didn't know? That's how we do, Mike. Go ahead and give me.
I don't remember the score.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. It's a little bit something like this right here. I'm not sure, but I think it might have been. Our defense might have given up 40 again. Is it 2 weeks in a row we give up 40?
About 40.
So I was reading the points allowed and points fielded. And I don't know. They had ours backwards because we gave up 80 points. I know we scored some points, Mike. Right? No, we ain't putting no points.
No, we ain't.
Okay. Well, Mike's the offense coordinator, everybody. So that is wrap up our hot events for this week.
All right, welcome back to the Mentality 360 podcast. Again, today's topic is taking things for granted. Why do we do it? And I guess, Kevin, I normally have a story for taking things for all of our topics, but taking things for granted, I don't know. I don't know if I have a story. I'm sure I'll think of one along the way. But I don't know, generally, what's your thoughts on? I think I'll give you my thoughts. I think nowadays, we're in this instamatic microwave society, and people, we're so used to getting things, when we want them, how we want them. It's like have it your way. What is that, Burger King?
Burger King.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, that kind of takes the value away from things. I mean, we see things as so easily replaceable, so easily attained that we just truly don't see the value in things anymore. And I'm not even talking about material things. This could be relationships and just love and all these things that you can't pay for, that you can't put a price on. And I still think a lot of times, given the environment and the society that we're in, we tend to take a lot of things for granted. And I don't know. What's your general thoughts on it?
Well, actually, as you were just speaking, I was just thinking, it's funny, Mike, but sometimes I actually hold my friendships with more value than I do a lot of other relationships that I have. And
okay.
Because here's the thing, because I'm thinking that I have 3 core friends.
Okay.
Right, people that I consider my boys, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking that I guess you have to actually have investments in things to be able to value those things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because again, while you were speaking, I was just thinking of things that I wouldn't want to take for granted. Because I know it took me 40 years to develop friendships like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? And go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
And I'm just thinking that because our football team that we coach together is a prime example on people taking things for granted. Because here it is, we can go 0-50, and somebody say, "Hey, coach, we're gonna get a trophy."
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, so therefore, it's not about the work that you put in things anymore, because everybody wants something for nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because everything can be replaceable, and I guarantee you, if we gave them a trophy, those trophies would probably be enjoyable to them for 20 minutes until that trophy hit the closet or hit whatever, and they wouldn't ever think about it.
They'll forget all about it.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would think.
Because they didn't really have to work to get it, right?
Right. So of course you're going to take it for granted.
They were going to get one anyway.
Right.
And that was a good point you made, is that, generally speaking, when you don't put anything into it, you're not vested in anything, you're going to view it as not valuable, right? Or not, easily replaceable. It's like, we'll look at something, whether it's we'll say a material thing, a car or whatever it may be, and we say, oh, you know what, I want this car. If you work 15, 20 years to save up enough money to buy this car, then you're going to appreciate it more, right?
Oh, no doubt.
But if on your 16th birthday, your parents just give you this car that you want, right?
You want to have that car by the time you're 18.
Exactly, right? You ain't standing in that car. It's going to be nice for a minute. Your friend's going to like it. You're going to ride around some people, whatever. Then you're going to get tired of it. You're on to the next thing. Because you didn't have to work for it.
But I think, too, though, to go along with what you just said about this instant gratification and the society we live in today, is that now it's kind of like, I believe this, that the microwave was the worst thing that ever could have been invented, because now everybody thinks it's the white microwave society. Because now whatever you want, you can get it right here. Internet. You looking for love, you get it right here. You looking for whatever, you can get it right here. You know what I'm saying? With no work. For example. Okay, wait, no, that's different. But now, if you want to lose weight, you can go take these pills or go
get
have
a
this
surgery.
surgery or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, when that happens, most of the time, people end up gain that weight back again because there was nothing invested in them to lose the weight in the first place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the thing that I realized that I took for granted just recently, and I'm going to go here. I'm just going to say this right here. I get mercy and grace every day, and I take it for granted every day. My wife cooking for me, I take for granted every day because after a while you just assume the expectations are this is going to be how it is.
Yeah, it's gonna always be here.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's a good point too. You know, I think we tend to take things for granted because we assume we'll always be able to get those things or we'll always have those things. It's like, you know, my mom mentioned something to me today. I was talking to her earlier this morning.
That reminds me. I called my mom today too.
Yeah, she was like, well, you know what? You and Toy should come see me. I was like, well, you know, we talk to you every day. We're gonna get out there and see you, check you out, you know, whatever. She's like, well, you know, I think you take for granted that I'm always be here. So I would much rather have you here,
right,
in my presence than talking to me on the phone. And I was like, yeah, I understand.
You know about Skype though, right, Mike?
Yeah.
You know about okay. I'm just saying.
But you know, her point was, you know, we should come there physically and check on her or whatever, and you know that. I guess I take for granted that she's there right now, and she may not always be there. So I get it. I understand what she means. I think she was just in her feelings a little bit this morning, but I get it. I understand.
You know, it's funny you said that, Mike. But you know, my mom had the stroke, right?
Well, my mom just found out she's diabetic, so you know she was in the hospital for 3-4 days.
And hospitalized?
Wow, her sugar level, I think, went up to I think she said 1140, which which is out of the roof, right? Like I think the nurse told her she had never seen anyone with
that's
that
a
sugar level
walking stroke right there,
right?
though.
Exactly. And but yeah,
man, what kind of candy was she eating?
I don't know.
Like stay away from the Snickers or something.
Good old Zero bar, you know, zeros.
Well, that's too old for you. That Zero bar right there, boy.
The Chico sticks and all that.
Get stuck in your teeth instead of eating it.
Right. But yeah, we do. We take a lot of things for granted. Whether it's like you said, you know, your wife preparing meals for you every day, washing your drawers, whatever, right?
No doubt.
You know, I don't know. Why do you think people do that? Like, why do you think? I've seen it where, you know, and this is from the outside looking in, so I don't know what goes on in people's households. But I've seen, from what I thought was a really good relationship, you know, that these two individuals had, and you know, every time I was around, it was nothing but love between them. And then one party, one of those people, you know, went out, dipped out, and you know, started a whole nother thing. And I'm like, oh wow, you know, why would you do that? You know, everything seemed lovely, right?
But in a situation like that, though, do you think though that even though it was good, but good can become the norm, right? Good can become just like this is just what it is. You know what I'm saying?
It's like this: if you bring your wife flowers every day, you stop by Kroger and grab her some roses and bring them home.
But I gotta make sure I cut the stem, put them in the vase because
you ain't gotta do all that.
Okay, no,
bringing roses
believe
is
me,
enough.
Believe me, we went there already at my house.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. But my point is, if you bring her flowers every day, as soon as she hear your car outside and she hear you the key in the door, she's gonna think in her mind, okay, I'm gonna go greet him and I'm gonna see some flowers in his hand.
Let me go ahead and get naked. Go ahead, Mike.
Right. But you know, that guarantee you that day that you don't bring them flowers,
she'll notice it. Right.
She's gonna notice it, right?
Wait, but that's the crazy part though, because like you take for granted I'm gonna do it, but when I don't do it, you get offended. But then while I'm doing it, you're like, it's no big deal because, I know you're going to do this. Oh, you're going to bring me flowers. Okay.
Yeah,
whatever.
Right. It becomes the norm.
Right.
Like you said.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So is that fair for her to expect the norm if it becomes the norm?
No, because I believe whether it's her making dinner or me bringing flowers, I just believe that every day we should look at, that was sweet. That's nice. You didn't have to do that.
But why don't we?
Because
I
we
guess
get
because of the
complacent.
topic, we take it for granted.
We take it for granted. We get complacent that this is because, but you know why? But I think too, though, Mike, with a lot of women, because I believe like no matter how good a guy can be, I believe as long as there is someone else who is married or telling her about some other guy who's good but doing a different type of good. You know what I'm
They
saying?
think the grass is
The
greener.
grass is greener. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking,
But
dude,
check
like,
this out.
who you comparing me to?
If you aerate your lawn, fertilize it, water it, nurture it, talk to it, right? Your grass is gonna be just as green, right? Or probably greener.
But you know why though, Mike? Because I'm the grass whisperer. You know what I'm
You the
saying?
grass whisperer.
So that's a little bit different, Mike.
So take off the GR, don't they?
Hey, that was said by Michael Tolan. And the message here on this is not agreed upon by Eric. No, but yeah, I guess so. But that's a good point. Wow, okay. But
But a lot of people don't look at it like that.
Yeah, I wonder why they don't though.
Yeah, why is that?
Because I guarantee you, I've dated women in the past that thought I was great until they met you. And then they say, well, Mike does this and Mike does that. I'm like, hold on. No, not real talk. I mean, I'm just giving an example. Because then people want to compare people to whoever.
Right.
I'm thinking, yeah, but that's Mike's house. This is my house.
Right.
That's Mike.
True.
Mike enjoys doing this. I enjoy doing that.
Uh-huh.
And so the thing is, like, don't just assume that everybody's going to be. Prime example. Right now, I know an individual whose wife was just caught cheating. Now, everyone will tell you that this guy has been above and beyond.
Right.
He took her in.
He's a provider.
She had 2 kids before when they met. He married her. He take her. Both the boys call him Papa.
Uh-huh.
And so the thing is, like, dude, hold on. He's doing all these things for you, but yet she's still not. That's not enough.
Right.
That's not enough because these other people can give me this and some. But so it's like, hold on. You hadn't ran into these type of people before you met me. You see what I'm saying? So like now that you don't have to worry about the kids, you don't have to worry about their education, you don't have to worry about what they're going to sleep, what they're going to eat, who's taking care of them. So now you feel like, okay, well, since now I can relieve myself of these responsibilities.
Right. This is going to be here.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
I can take this
covered,
for granted.
right?
So let me go ahead and do all these other things that I shouldn't be doing because this is what I want to do now since I'm going to take you for granted. So now I'm going to get over here, go to somebody else's backyard. Their grass is green. Yeah. Greener.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I can take my shoes off and walk through the yard.
You know what I'm saying? They ain't got no dog. You know what I'm saying? Nothing like that. So I just think that's crazy how people can take things for granted, not knowing that, man, look at all the stuff that this person enhances your life with. You know what I'm saying?
So does that require like everyday? It just requires like an everyday appreciation of what you have. Yeah, I think what it is you have to know what you have and know the value of what you have to appreciate it, right?
Yes.
Is that the point? It's
okay. To add on to what you just said, you just said you have to know the value, right? But I'll bring it back just one more. You have to know your value.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Because I believe that if you don't know your value, then you will never understand the value someone can have in you. Yeah. If you don't see it, then you never believe it.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great point.
You see? And so then that way you're always trying to search to get that affirmation, that value, to something to make me feel like that that the thing I'm taking for granted, I should be taking for granted because, for whatever reason. You know how women think. You know what I'm saying?
I think they may manufacture a reason why. Like, hey, well, he's not doing this.
That's a different podcast. You know what I'm saying?
He parked his car crooked in the driveway, so I'm gonna go on out and do what I want to do.
Wait, hold on. My wife and I met this couple once, right? And there was a dude. I'm telling you, like you just spoke about earlier. You like, man, what happened?
Yeah, right.
Because one of them didn't put the toothpaste cap on. I swear, this is I'm 5'11" all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? Because one didn't put the toothpaste cap on toothpaste, and she's about to bounce. And it wasn't because he was cheating. It wasn't because Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Sometimes we do you think that we misconstrue taking things for granted as to just not noticing things? And I say that because if you ask people about my wife's husband, they say, "Man, he this, he that, he's yada yada yada." But she don't see him.
She don't see those things.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So would that be me thinking she take me for granted, or just be like, well, that's just the norm for her, and she don't notice it?
And well, it could be either or, a combination of both. It's like if you're around something every day, I think you tend to kind of look past that thing. You know, you may not. This sounds crazy. As I'm thinking about even saying it, you may not appreciate it because you are around it every day. Whereas other people, they have a different perspective. They have an outside viewpoint. You know, it's like your vantage point. It's like, check this out. It's like if you standing, you know, in the forest, you don't appreciate the forest because you can't see it outside of the trees. But if somebody's standing up on the cliff looking down at the forest, they're like, "Wow, that's beautiful." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a whole different viewpoint.
Oh, good, right there.
Yeah. I think about that, but I don't know. It could be a combination of things, though. It could be. I don't know.
Well,
that's a good one.
But then I come back to this right here, though. Just for taking things for granted, I just believe that, I don't know, because it was a time that I took my wife for granted. You know, I told you about that, you know, a couple years back, about 5-6 years ago now. But I think it's because I was just so selfish and self-centered that I wasn't really paying attention to anybody but myself.
But yourself, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would think that'd be probably the big reason why we're.
I think we might have been having a conversation. I think it was you and I. We were talking about love, and it's like when you love someone else, it's about being selfless, right? It's about not truly focusing on yourself and focusing on that person and their needs, their desires, and all that, right? So if you're truly doing that, you're paying attention to all this, so you're gonna know, and you're definitely gonna appreciate that person more, right? I think,
right. I agree.
Right, because you're trying to cater to their needs and what they need.
Okay, so I have a question for that one then. Okay, check this out. Excuse me. So when you meet a person, right? So the thing that we're saying, well, that's their norm, right? Well, obviously it wasn't your norm when you first met him, right? Because it stood out to you.
Right.
Like, this person does this, he opens the door, he buys me flowers, yada yada.
Right.
Okay, so if those are the things that drew you into the person, right? Then why would you all of a sudden forget that? You know what I'm saying? Like
forget about those.
Yeah,
things.
it's like, hold on, wait, because this was outside of your norm initially, but now now I buy you flowers. You're like, oh yeah, you brought me flowers again. Wait, but this is what you noticed.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Me opening a door for you is what you noticed. Me being selfless is what you noticed. So how can you take for granted?
All right, check this out. Think about this. This is really a question. It's a statement, but it's a question. So think about, you and I would agree Michael Jordan was probably one of the greatest basketball players
one of the
time.
Not the, but go ahead.
Right. Okay. So think about his teammates that he played with. Right. They played with him 82 games every season, night in, night out. Right. They saw this magic happening every night. Right. Him doing something spectacular. Right. You think it kind of became a norm to them to see this? Whereas we're fans, we're on the outside, tune into our TV, let's watch this Bulls game because I got to see what MJ going to do. He's going to put up about 80 tonight, right? Although, we're not on the court with him, so we have a different viewpoint of him. We're looking at him, he's great. But his teammates are playing with him. They're in the locker rooms with him. They're everywhere with him. Do you think they kind of lose like a little bit of appreciation for him maybe, or you think their viewpoint is kind of a little different?
I would say yes and no. Yes and no. This is why I think that. I think that because, one, if you notice, a lot of times they're standing on the side looking to see what's next, because that's greatness. Greatness, and
they're standing around watching him play, right?
Right, and I just think
they're supposed to be setting screens and all that. They watching him play,
right? And I think that something that's being the norm and something that's great is two different levels of things. Because to me, let's say, like, LeBron James is a great player, but his norm is norm. Like, give me almost a triple-double a night. It's not flashy,
right.
but Michael Jordan was flashy. So Michael Jordan would do things you'd be like, oh, You know what I'm saying? So it made you kind of want to stay engaged with that.
Okay. So when them two guys had an off night and it wasn't the norm, do you think the other players were kind of disappointed in them?
Yes and no. I believe they were disappointed because if they do, you're supposed to bring it, but at the same time, this is my time to shine now, though.
You got to step up. Right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
As a
So
non-player.
yeah. So if I had to convert that into a relationship, but here's the thing though. This is from my experience. If that's what you have brought to the table, that's what your expectation is going to be from this day forward.
Right. You're gonna be great every night.
Well, no, I mean, you know what I'm saying.
if you bring that to the table,
Well,
you're gonna be
okay.
MJ every night.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing though. But when you're not though, people are so
Matter of fact,
passive.
I was with an MJ as a podcaster.
You know,
Up
baby.
top.
You know what I'm saying? But I just think that the people that I know, Mike, would probably be offended that you wasn't MJ every night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like, no, dude, this is what you supposed to. Yeah, but there's two of us in this relationship though. I ain't got to be Kobe every night. Kobe has Shaq. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, so like we ain't gotta get our shine at the same time, but it's time for me to shine. It's time for you to shine. I mean, so I just said that to say
But I
that
think
maybe
they
that's the
take
way.
for granted that Kobe and Shaq were on the same team. The other players, like, they kind of take that for granted. Like, well, yeah, we can just cruise. You know, we ain't got to do too much. We got Kobe and Shaq. They going to carry the load, right?
Dude, that's relationship though, Mike. That's
life. That's people taking things for
all the
granted.
time. We can just cruise. We good now. We
good.
We got our house, our kids in school or out of school. We just cruise now. You're like, dude, Satan don't take a day off, so why you gonna take a day off?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Shaq and Kobe get tired too, don't they?
Last I checked, you know what I'm saying? Because Shaq couldn't hit a free throw. You know what I'm saying? Please. And quiet as kept. Much as I think Kobe, because I use Kobe on NBA, 2K18. Shout out to Kobe and everybody else I use. But last I checked against Toronto, he went off for 81. He shot the ball about 40, 50 times. I'm just saying, if I shot the ball 40, 50 times on NBA 2K, I'm going to give you about 90. I'm just saying what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? So my point, that's just a little side note.
Okay.
The side note, Mike. Go ahead. But I just think that sometimes we get used to the norm, and so it makes it a lot easier for us to take things for granted. You know, that's what I think.
We get complacent.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How do we work our way out of that? How do we appreciate the normal things every day, the things that we typically take for granted? How do we get out of that mode of just becoming complacent?
Mike, this is something I tell myself every single day. Kid you not. Today is the day the Lord has made. Let me rejoice and be glad in it. Which means that whatever comes my way, I'm going to take it and be happy about it. Because some people didn't get up. Some people don't have the ability to do what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to think about that. A lot of times we don't think about things like that.
Right.
Like, we take for granted being able to get up and flip a switch and your lights come on,
mm-hmm.
and you have hot water.
Clean water. Yeah.
Think about the people in Flint, Michigan,
Boy, boiling their water 10 times just to, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we take a lot of things for granted.
And that's
Think
in the
about
United
that.
States. That's not even a
That's
third world
right,
country we're
absolutely.
talking. So, yeah.
We just have to sit down and be humble sometimes. Right?
Yeah, so, like, do you think that people have to take things from you for you to be able to not take things for granted? Then, you know what I'm saying?
I think sometimes people do need a reality check. They have to, like some people say, sometimes you forget where they come from. It's like, you gotta, I don't know, you just gotta, how do you self-check yourself? You know what I mean? Like, you give yourself that own reality check. How do you do that?
Okay, here's a question. Do you think you can self-check yourself, or do you think that's why you got to associate with people that will self-check you?
I mean, I used to tell you that on the basketball court. Self-check. I ain't even got to guard him. He's self-check.
You know I had a bad ankle that day, dude. Don't even trip, dude. Come on now.
But nah, seriously, I don't know. Can we do that?
I think if you try to do it yourself, Mike, I think you set yourself up for failure personally.
You think so?
I think so.
We have to pull from a bigger place.
Bigger pool, bigger place. Because it says that we should always get the advice, I'm paraphrase this, but we should always seek the counsel of the wiser people around us.
Mm-hmm.
instead of just foregoing in ourselves, thinking that because in a man's heart, everything he do and say, he thinks it's gonna be right.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that we shouldn't try to self-govern and self-check ourselves. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because whenever I want to see me, I'm not going to my wife saying, "Hey, tell me this." I go to Christ, say, "God, show me me." And every time I get to this spot where He shows me me, I never like what I hear, whether it comes from you, whether it comes from Kev, whether it comes from whoever, because I know that these are not the things that I've been doing. You know, so that's why I think it's good to have that person that keep you in check, to that check and balance that you have in your life, to help you stay regulated and help you stay on the track that they know that you want to be on. You know what I'm saying? Because even though we don't see things totally alike, it's a lot of times we talk, you say, "Man, Kel, yeah, but you know what you should be doing. You know this is," and I'm like, damn, if Mike tell me this, and look at Mike, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If Mike tell me that, I must really need to get back on track. If Mike telling me. No,
I was trying to think of who it was. That might have been an athlete, somebody. I don't know who it was, but I was listening to their story one day, and he was saying how, you know, to kind of keep himself focused on his goals and where he wanted to be, he would always periodically take a drive back to where he grew up, the projects, you know, the house. He would go park in front of the house that he was raised in, he grew up in, and, you know, it would just kind of give him a reality check, you know, and it would just continue to kind of help to burn that fire inside of him, keep him going. So, you know, is it something like that? I guess we all kind of find our own motivation.
Right. I think so.
But
Here's the question for
know,
you.
I think
What's yours, Mike?
my motivation.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm the type of person that I just despise failure. Like, I just don't like to fail. So I just always have in my mind I have to succeed in some kind of way. And that's why, you know, sometimes, you know, you'll talk to me. I may be doing various things, and I'm always trying to do something to keep me going, you know. And I'm probably way far from, definitely way far from where I want to be. So, which is a good thing in my mind, because it gives me something to aim for, to shoot for. So, but yeah, it's just, and you know, definitely having kids is a motivator.
Right.
Poverty is a motivator, for sure. You know, you don't want to be broke, and you want to make sure your kids have a roof over it. You're able to put Cheerios on the table, right?
Yeah.
You have a roof over their head.
That chocolate, that chocolate Frosted Flakes that we got to have 4 boxes of.
And then outside of, you know, I think my basic needs, you know, food, shelter, water, you know, that type of thing. If I want to speak on like just relationship, you know, what motivates me to be right and do right is because I was just so tired of doing it so wrong for so long. It's like, and you know, I just want to be at a point in my life to where I can just, you know, just be open and vulnerable and no worries, you know.
Wow.
In those areas.
Dude,
so
it takes a long time to get there, though.
Right,
It takes a long time.
I figured, you know, for me to be that way, or for me to get that, I have to get that. You know?
Yeah, you can't get what you don't have. So yeah.
So, yeah, those are the type of things that motivate me.
Dude, would you ever think that doing this for how many months we've been doing this now, that you better at a point where you were okay with being vulnerable around somebody other than yourself?
Nah.
Yeah, me either. I'm thinking like, wow, I can't believe this is Mike. I can't believe Mike just said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, that's growth.
Yeah, for sure.
That's growth. Wow.
For sure.
Well, praise God to that then. Look at Mike. But yeah, that's good, dude. That's good. Well, and to me personally, I think the one thing that keeps me grounded is that I never want to be like I used to be. You know what I'm saying? And just to touch back on the one thing you just said about you don't want to fail. That's why I think coaching this football team has been so hard for me, because I never failed anything in my life. And when I can't look back and see growth, when I can't look back and see the win, the dubs or something to tell me that this was successful, something that the kid can come back and say, hey, you told me, because I told many kids, you can do all things through Christ. If you just, you know what I'm saying? I can do all things through Jesus Christ. And so if I have a kid that come back and say, hey, no, coach, you told me this, like I did last year. And I was like, oh,
Right.
I told you. I bet he
remembered.
that.
He paid
Yeah,
attention.
you know what I'm
You
saying?
thought he wasn't listening.
And so, like, to me, that keeps me going. And then, but on the flip side, this is why I think I get so amped up and I lose it coaching, because I'm like, dude, I don't, because dude, I pray and say, God, this is not what I should be doing. Let me know. You know, close the door, do something. And true enough, he doesn't close the door, but yet I have a parent cuss me out.
Yeah.
Every season.
Right.
You know what
Every
saying?
yeah, I'm a witness to
I'm
that.
like, dude, like, hold on, it's me and Mike. You know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what? But it makes it that more challenging, because I can't see any growth. Now, I'm not saying the guy's not doing things behind closed doors that I don't know, you know, because I'm sure he is. But to me, that's the hardest thing about trying to constantly point to other people, is that one, people don't think, because people think it's about you, making it about you. And this has zero to do with me,
Right.
because matter of fact, our sons left a couple of years ago.
Right, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? And so to me, to feel like I never want to fail, to be in a situation where it looks like I'm constantly failing, is like a hard dose, and I won't even call it reality. It's just a hard dose of something that I don't understand what I'm supposed to learn from it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Now, I know we're talking about taking for granted, but I'm thinking, like, honestly, I thought we were going to win. So I took for granted that, well, we're going to win, because we got me and Mike know what we're doing. We're probably better coaches than a lot of these other coaches.
Right.
But yet and still, we talking about 41-0. I mean, real talk.
Yeah, that's real.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that that's the lesson.
You think to a certain extent they take you for granted and what you do and what you bring to the table?
I think that they,
By they, I mean
right, parents and
Yeah.
stuff. Oh, Mike, wow. I never put that much thought into that like that. I think maybe they don't know. You know what I'm saying? We talked about earlier, what can it be taken for granted if you don't know? You know what I'm saying? But I think they just take for granted that their kids come out there and get coached and their kids supposed to be good. I think they take that for granted, not
Right.
knowing that you got to work. You got to put your own, you got to put your own energy, sweat, blood, whatever, tears into this thing to make your kid grow in life. Because I believe that it's hard for parents to understand that everybody kid is not Dak Prescott. Everybody kid is not Sean Lee. Everybody's, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, dude, like, you got to have some type of reality check with yourself. Well, hold on, that's a totally different podcast.
Yeah.
My bad. My bad. But I just think just to say that part.
Yeah, I think speaking on the kids, I think sometimes them kids take for granted, especially the ones that are kind of gifted athletically. They kind of take for granted that they'll be able to turn it off and turn it on whenever they want to, right? That they don't have to work as hard, because they already have an edge up,
Right, right.
a leg up, so they don't have to work as hard, and they just kind of meander through everything, and then they expect game time. I'll just be able to turn it on, and we're good.
And then one day those kids become adults, and they still handle the same
thing
way.
in life. Yeah, they handle life's issues the same way.
It's funny though, honestly, because you can tell that the people that have grown and not have grown, because the way they handle situations now, like we talked about that earlier, because like what makes you not want to handle things the way you handle them, a while back. But I would dare to say that most people that take things for granted today probably took things for granted coming up too when they were younger.
Yeah.
Or their moms and dads did, or just, in our neighborhood, it'd be single parent most of the time.
Yeah.
So one of them you probably developed that from them. And the sad part about it is now we have kids and people are still handling situations the same way. Like they take everything for granted. They take for granted that they're gonna wake up tomorrow morning. They take for granted that their spouse is gonna be there tomorrow morning. Because I know people that take their spouses for granted. I know if anything would have happened to their spouses, they probably be able to live with themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm like, dude, because that you wouldn't want to go out like that unless you just don't have a heart altogether.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like that's why. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So with that, it's just every day you have to appreciate that person that you laying your head down next to, that you laying next to in the bed, that you spend the most of your day with, right?
Right. Yeah. That's probably why Christ tells us that we should never go to bed angry at one another, because tomorrow ain't promised. You might not wake up the next day.
Yeah.
And leaving the top off of toothpaste is not a reason for me to. I mean, real talk.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm seriously, right? Yeah.
Because I would feel so stupid if we got through fighting because I didn't fold the laundry or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, like that took 8 hours of our day, of our life, that we mad at each other. And how serious was that? Like Pastor Fred tells me this all the time. He would say, my brother, if things doesn't affect your health, your salvation, or it's not life or death, it ain't worth worrying about. And that's what I try to remember when I'm with my wife, or when I'm with somebody who I think that I value a lot.
Yeah.
If it's not one of these three things, I can't deal with that, because life brings you too many other things to deal with. So you have to be able to decipher what's important, and what's not important.
Right. I told you should read that book that we read by Mark Mintz, and I'll bring it to you tomorrow at practice.
What's that?
The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. It's a good book, man. Right. Really, it is.
You missed me with the title, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a good book, though. Good book. Basically, this last minute that you just spoke about, the topic you just spoke on, the content, that's everything he talks about in the book. Is about prioritizing, things that are important in your life, and caring about the right things that really matter, right? Like you said, your salvation, your health, those type things that you can't replace, like time, for example. You can't replace that.
Oh, that's probably one thing
we all take for granted. Yeah, time.
Wow. Okay.
And time is money, and time you cannot afford, so don't waste it.
Look at that.
Unless you got money to replace it.
Boy, you be reading books, baby. You be reading books up in here, boy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I guess so.
But I think we all take time for granted, for sure.
Okay, so top two things you think we take for granted: time in relationships, time in our spouses,
time and people. I would say. Well, people is very broad, because there's things around that. But like you said, time and friendships, and things that really matter. Mm-hmm. But the top two. Let's think about it. Time would definitely be there.
Yeah, time would be my number one thing, because actually, I don't know if I was talking to you or Kev or whoever, but somebody told me, I think it was Kev, and we were talking about me going back to school for my bachelor's degree and then my master's degree, and he was saying, man, Kev, look at it this way: no matter what you do, if God bless you to be around, time gonna go by. So it's gonna go by what you have in those degrees, or it's gonna go by what you're not having. Yeah. But time gonna go by, and dude, that just stuck with me. It stuck with me more than anything. Cause I'm thinking, wow, he has a point. Mm-hmm. Because in 2 years, I'm gonna be older, so I might well be older with something that I accomplished. Right? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Right. And so I enrolled back in school.
Somebody sold me on that point when I really first started reading a lot. Mm-hmm. They were like, well, if you read a book a month, right? And let's say you even get one nugget of knowledge out of each one of those books. That's 12 things you've learned in a year, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say you didn't read, not to say you won't gain any knowledge just from life experience, but, I would think reading something and gaining some sort of knowledge, you would be better off, because like you said, that time is going to continue it's going to go, whether you do something with it or you don't.
Right,
it's going, it's moving.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. You know what? I like knowing stuff, so let me start doing this, and I did it. And I don't know, what does that game mean? Who knows? Maybe a lot, maybe a little, but I just view it as me knowing more and being better, for myself, and for others, right?
I think that to me the game would be that. I believe every single thing we learn for a reason. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a time when your son or your grandson or your granddaughter or somebody going to come to you and ask you something, and then you'll be able to pour from that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because I know in the scripture it says that we should put the word of God in our hearts, because it said out of the heart comes issues of life, which means that I'll always be able to pull back on this, what I believe and what I know, because it's in me. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of things in me I never used before. I'm like, man, well, but people ask me a question tomorrow. I'm like, wait, I read this. What?
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, that's why I think that's the gain would be always.
And for me, I've forgotten way more than I know. So
yeah, no doubt.
I gotta constantly keep filling up, them empty spaces.
That's that chronic. But go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, definitely time. Time would be number one. It's definitely at the top. We all take that for granted, for sure. No, because nobody knows their day, right?
Okay.
I think life is a sequence of moments, that run together, and we all got a set amount of moments. We all got a little notch that's been set, and when it hits that notch, our moments are done.
It's a wrap.
And none of us knows when that's gonna happen. So you can't take these days, these moments for granted. You gotta live, and you gotta.
Which is the perfect tie-in to actually the first thing I think we take for granted every day.
What's that?
Now my top two would be grace and mercy, and then time.
Okay. And
I said it because we always think. My son just told me just today. Well, I can worry about my salvation later. Basically, like he gonna put it on layaway, and so when he really get to it, you know what I'm saying? When he ready to get to it, he go get it and he'll go get it. Like we say, it's not a switch, dude. It's like taking things for granted. It's not a switch you can click and all of a sudden you're gonna stop taking things for granted. But I just believe that we just assume that every day we wake up is for us.
Yeah.
And so to me, my top two things would be grace and mercy, because so many days I continue to stumble, I continue to fall so far from where I'm supposed to be with Christ, and time.
Yeah, those are really good.
Yeah, that's mine. I've been in the building all day today, folks. All day today, you know what I'm saying?
It's really good.
So that's pretty much my spiel on taking things for granted. You know?
We've covered a lot in this short conversation, and so I don't know what would be the summation of it all.
Okay, so I would just say this right here. I think that one thing you touched on is that about taking things for granted is that we have to realize what's important to us. I think that when things don't affect our health, our well-being, or anyone around us, their well-being, then those are things that we should probably spend more time concerned with those three things about the people around us as well. You know what I'm saying? Because we get so lost with the world, and the world will bring things to you all day, every day that has really no value to you at all. And then we kind of lose focus on the things that we're supposed to value.
Right.
So I just think that we should always put those things in perspective, God, our family, and our health, and just go from there. You know what I'm saying? So if I had to wrap it up, then that would be how I wrap that up.
All right. Well, thank you again for tuning in to the Mentality 360 podcast. Again, you can always reach us on all of our social media outlets, on Instagram at Mentality Podcast, on Facebook at Mentality Podcast, email.
The 360 or just podcast?
Just Mentality Podcast.
Okay.
Right? Email mentalitypodcast@gmail.com.
All right.
And Kevin, if you want to give out your phone number, you can
give me 555. You know what I'm saying? Let me give me your number. You know what I'm saying? No, but it's been fun. You all have a blessed day. Peace.
Peace.